Cohort number 2 for our How to DAO course fundamentals starting March 18. And today we are actually announcing our flagship partner for this cohort, which is Polkadot, represented here on the call by Erik. So welcome, Erik.
Let me start with the easiest part, explaining who I am. I'm Erik, I'm based in Germany. I am working since almost 7 to 8 years in crypto. Time is passing very fast and DAOs were always, very intriguing topic to me. I also thought it's the cypherpunk made come true, not just about setting incentives for networks, but also setting incentives for people.
So in the next course, we'll have more allotted dedicated homework time so that you can actually build together. We have seen, and this is not a huge surprise, but for people to really get together, discuss and work on their DAO, synchronously works like a charm, right? So the more we can organize that, the better.
Welcome everyone at our How to DAO live streams. We skipped a couple weeks, but we are back because we are planning the next cohort. Cohort number 2 for our How to DAO course fundamentals starting March 18. And today we are actually announcing our flagship partner for this cohort, which is Polkadot, represented here on the call by Erik. So welcome, Erik.
Hi.
And these two familiar faces, me, Puncar, co-author of How to DAO and the course tutor, and Gideon Peters, DAO and Agile consultant, also tutor of How to DAO course. So I will start maybe with the first question to Gideon. Gideon, so we are planning the cohort 2. Can you brief us about the cohort 1? How was it for you, for the students, and what we have done actually there?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I look back on cohort 1 with very fond memories. First of all, a very diverse group with both beginners in the DAO space, but also people who have really made their first strides already. And we got down and dirty pretty fast. So there was a lot of practice. We set up this DAO, an actual DAO with the participants, as part of the course called Chit Chat DAO. And this was an innovative idea to actually reach out to your friends again or to your business relationships and to make that a literally rewarding experience with tokens coming from that, and then governance rights and all the other stuff that makes DAO so interesting. So very entertaining cohorts, a lot of learnings, great reviews, and also great feedback for us to work with in the next course. But the fact that this very diverse group came together and created a DAO, to me, is very exciting.
Yeah, thank you. So as you can see, the courses are very practical. You will create your own DAO and then you will start behaving like a DAO. So you will really get a full experience on how is it to build DAO, run DAO, or participate in it. To, give also context on our flagship partner, Polkadot. Polkadot DAO is one of the largest, maybe the largest DAO actually in the world, which is pretty cool. And now they're partnering with us. So Erik, can you elaborate a little bit more? What's Polkadot DAO about, and maybe introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, hi. Let me start with the easiest part, explaining who I am. I'm Erik, I'm based in Germany. I am working since almost 7 to 8 years in crypto. Time is passing very fast and DAOs were always, very intriguing topic to me. I also thought it's the cypherpunk made come true, not just about setting incentives for networks, but also setting incentives for people and having this, knowing more about how to make it happen, but also now being someone who works in a DAO is a very exciting time to be alive, and also doing this, being a part of cypherpunk vision in today. The Polkadot DAO itself, yes, we claim to be the biggest so far with 1.2 million active wallets and people who are taking a vote with their DOT in how the future of Web3 can be shaped, especially in the Polkadot network, where we have, I think, advanced pretty strongly the shape of online and decentralized governance. We have our own open governance system, which is a forum where your governance token DOT can be used to show what do you want to see made happen in this network. You can show conviction, you can go all in, or you can just leave a little signal of your appreciation of a certain vote, give a tip, or suggest to spend millions on marketing or other stuff. And actually the reason why I am here today is because the treasury, the open governance treasury was sort of put into small little pockets to focus on certain things. For example, marketing. So I am working as well for the Polkadot Marketing DAO. We call ourselves the Marketing Bounty, and I'm a fan of your work. I have the book here as well. I read it through as well, and I thought it's such an important topic to teach people how to DAO, but also to show that this partnership has been funded by a DAO, and also not by a corporate structure. No marketing CMO is deciding, we should sort of do this partnership, but responsibility was given into the network in a decentralized fashion. I was sort of elected by the community to fill out one of the seats in this as a curator in this group of people who I never sort of met in real person, but I still work with them day in, day out on marketing in Polkadot in a DAO, which is pretty exciting. It's new. It still has lots of things to clarify, but it's working. And it also worked to make this happen here today.
Well, we are very happy that the DAO decided to work with us, because I think this is, and I hope this is good for both ecosystem, basically just getting more people into DAOs and into understanding how DAOs works and why they can be the future of collaboration. But before we get into the DAOs itself, actually, Gideon, I have one more question to you, because you described the Cohort 1, it was fun. How you feel about the Cohort 2? Anything you would like to share with potential students, what we have done, what we are improving on, and how they can benefit actually attending that course?
Yeah, great question. So, we have to progress. I think some of the interesting feedback, of course, is, for those that start participating in this new DAO we create, some will need more help than others, right? And as our course scales, we'll need to find ways to make sure that everybody can participate at the same level. The other thing is there is so much homework, and this is not, I would say, homework that you would have to shove forwards in your calendar because you don't want to do this. This is actually homework that our previous students love doing, but it also meant that you had to synchronize over 8 different time zones. So in the next course, we'll have more allotted dedicated homework time so that you can actually build together. We have seen, and this is not a huge surprise, but for people to really get together, discuss, and work on their DAO synchronously works like a charm, right? So the more we can organize that, the better. That's definitely one of the big things that is coming up. And we will be experimenting with new tooling as well, right? So we've had a lot of fun with DAO might certainly still use certain aspects of that, but we're also really looking forward to other new, let's say, smart contracts to fuel the exercises.
Yeah, definitely. We are, improving and making sure that, as you said, everyone can participate. And it's not just about the skill set or the experience, but it's also the place you live. Because we had students from all over the world, and it's just hard to coordinate if you have homework and you don't know that person that well. I think one thing which happened maybe unintentionally, but it was really cool to see, is there were bonds created and friendship created actually during the course, that people start hanging out with each other and discussing different topics, maybe a little bit of crypto, maybe a little bit of network state, but also some others. And some students actually travel the world to meet other students in person. So it was Josh. So shout out to Josh, because he went around the world to meet half of the course basically in person. So that was also fun to see, and everyone was excited, to meet each other and basically learn from each other, because it's not just us teaching, it's also people actually learn from each other. So Erik, you decided to partner, or the DAO decided to partner with How to DAO. You heard what was the course 1 and what will be the course 2 about. You probably heard it before this live stream as well. How you think, what's the biggest benefit for people from the Polkadot ecosystem? How you see it? Why they should know How to DAO?
I think sometimes we get used to that everything is built in there, right? So we have the tools to sort of vote to sort of see who have voted how on which proposal. But the fundamentals are sometimes a bit, are there, but how does it work differently, right? So we've found sort of our own little way of doing stuff. And I think our community should sort of go to your course, for example, especially because it's like visiting another country, learning about their sort of about governance in general, in terms of, for example, I live in Germany, but how does a state or governance work in France or in the US or somewhere else? What kind of parties are there? How do you sort of set the rules? And I think in general, we are teaching with this course, especially, how does on-chain governance work? What can we learn from governance studies in general? But how does it work together with the Web3 approach? And we still have the old stuff, like we have delegates, we have parties, we have groups, we have people coming together. I mean, this is as old as the humanity is, right? But with a new twist on how to coordinate them. This means, again, thinking about rules, thinking about what kind of rules work in a decentralized manner with different time zones, cultures, and so on. So we are actually setting one of the foundational concepts on global governance as well, because we're bringing so many people together who are not bounded by the borders and the place they are. Maybe just a time zone because it's already so late and so early where you are. So it's only a question of coffee and sort of sleep in this regard. That's the only limitation here. But I got lots of interest from my community in this course because they get used to how it is, and by going to the other community, especially here Ethereum and as well network state community, we can bring, it's like an exchange, right? Like a foreign exchange in this regard. So that's where I see the most benefit in it. And also learning from you, Puncar, from Gideon, from Kevin Owocki, that everyone has found their own little way of organizing, coordinating, and also making sure that the right incentives are set there to make people actually work together, right? So, I mean, Bitcoin is the best example on how to align incentives. And we have to not always reinvent, but definitely take best working practices from all those communities. How does Polkadot DAO work? How does Gitcoin work? How does Polkadot work, right? So I think when we put all those things together, we get, hopefully in the near future, the best working model. And then we can fork it again and again and again and apply it to networks, like Web3 networks, but also to organizations, maybe to small little communes, maybe some anarchistic sort of cypherpunk DAOs as well. And this exchange is extremely necessary.
I really like the parallel to like kind of a nation states, like you're like, it's like a traveling, like you see different countries, they have different governments, different like way of organizing. I think the similarities there, it's like, most of the governments are broken, most of the DAO governance is broken, but like the difference here is like, the governments like usually don't change very much. Like they are broken, they know about it, but it's hard to like change something. It's just been there for hundreds of years, and the establishment is kind of a little bit against the change. But I feel like on the DAO level, we want to change. We want to make it better. We want to like coordinate more efficiently, and and then they can learn from us. So I think we had this discussion on another live stream that like DAOs are basically like the experiments in like a smaller scale, which can be then like adopted by network states on the larger scale and eventually by the nation states. So, like here is the innovation. Like if you are like, getting into DAO space in not just this course, but like everywhere in the DAO space, you are where the innovation is happening. That's why I joined actually. So I used to be part of like a big corporation. Cool job, steady salary, yeah, amazing. However, that's not where the innovation was happening. So I went deeper. I went into the DAOs because like we are creating the new world, and you can mention all the other technologies because the coordination is here, and we are then just like plugging in different like AI agents and stuff like that, and it's all happening super fast. So if you want to stay on the frontier, you better join right now because everything is changing so much. It's not too late, but now it's really great time to come in. Gideon, another question to you. What do you think are the main benefits for the people actually like leaving the course. So like, we discussed what we are actually doing in the course and how it worked and how we improved. But now, like, I'm like hesitant. Like, should I, actually enter the course? It's like spending 5 weeks. It's a lot of time, of my time I need to invest in. What's the value? Why I should be there? Like, you can take a couple personas maybe, like, and how they can benefit from there.
Yeah. So I think that's twofold, right? So on the one hand, it is like visiting another nation, but it's also like going back to school, right? Going back to the roots and the ground concepts. And I think those cannot be underestimated how important that is, right? So there's a lot of improvisation in the DAO space, but there's also great people studying this stuff, earning their PhDs in it, including an amazing Dutch PhD, which we reference in the course, who have done their quantitative work and their qualitative work, right? So if you talk about value, it's also, you do visit other DAOs, you do see what they're doing. So there's a lot of practical examples, but you're also able to go to the fundamental science of it, which I think strengthens your understanding and gives you multiple ways to move forward in practice. And the second thing, I think, which goes for courses which have amazing participants, is you instantly build your network, right? So these are all people with the same intention, right? To work on the frontiers of internet-based coordination. That is definitely a big benefit. Yeah, and then finally, you have done the thing, right? Doing the thing. I see that in a couple of DAOs as well. They call it a doocracy, right? Getting to the doing pretty quickly. And that's also a big part here, is that you did it, you're doing it with others, and there's nothing like it, right? So all the little squabbles and even tensions that we had while building the DAO in the previous cohort, people were first frustrated and then recognized, hey, wait a minute, this is stuff we see in practice as well. So that gives you the opportunity to go a level deeper and say, okay, so if we're squabbling, what does that mean? Are there different interests going on here? Is it a lack of communication? And what helps us to unblock that and move even faster? So just some observations there.
Nice. So yeah, I definitely don't underestimate the fundamentals and the practicality of it. Like, you will actually do it. It's not that we will just tell you like this is how it's supposed to work. You will actually try it, and when you try it, you learn it even more, and you can then make your own way. But we prepare you to be on the right journey. And also, what I would like to say is like, this is not industry specific, and crypto and DAOs are great tools, but they are not like specific to like financial services or, decentralized science. Like, this is just a tool to coordinate. And if you are from, government agency, which we had students from there, or if you are creating new political movement, we have students from there, or you are working in like a legal services, like all of that can be actually applied to DAOs for the coordination part, and like using blockchain or crypto for some of it. So definitely, don't think like this is not for me. Like, this is the future, and you want to be part of the future, so you better be here. Erik, I have some question to the Polkadot DAO ecosystem, because like I just mentioned, like, it can be for everyone, and like you also said, like the DAO kind of decentralized to different like pockets, and like, someone is in charge of marketing, someone is in charge of development and stuff like that. So is there any like notable examples of the DAO or sub DAOs you would like to mention, and like how they are actually helping to support the overall ecosystem?
Yeah, wow, how to start with this? So in general, it works like this. There is this Web3 foundation, which is sort of behind Polkadot in general, and they have put some of their funds into this decentralized treasury, the DAO controlled treasury. That's around 200 million. Some of them are stables, some of it's DOT. And then we have the sort of different tracks. We have big spend to small spend to tips and so on, where you can sort of put in your idea. For example, recently we had a proposal from an American race car driver, Connor Daly, and he proposed 3.5 million to spend on a sponsorship, which is a bit more than just sponsorship. It's also DB and etc. And this has been put together by lots of people who are agents in our ecosystem. And so this is where really different people come together who never met, who met on this forum, and are shaping really good proposals. And they've been working for months for it, lobbied, right? So this is the political part. And then we have, of course, the community who's voting on it. We have shrimps, like small dot holders. We have whales. We also like to call them executive whales, like because they behave like managers, because they have so much voting power to make things happen or to stop to make them happen. So, and it's, yeah, if it's above 51%, then it's a vote aye or nay. If it's below, and then those ideas get made happen. The thing is, of course, that's on-chain, right? So you also have to make sure that's happening off-chain. And for this, we have lots of bodies to make this governance work. We have a watchdog, we have different trackers out there, we have people who sort of just engaged in tracking what's happening there, who are always in the comments, who are always on X, who sort of are investigating if this proposal is executed well. But we don't always want to have everyone to vote on tech or on PR or on marketing or on sponsorships. That's really exhausting sometimes. For example, we have over 1,000 open governance proposals, I think currently 1,000, and this has been, of course, happening over the last 2 years, right? And as mentioned, in theory, we would have 1.4 million people who could vote on this, but it's difficult to get them, right? So we have elections soon here in Germany, so you also have to make sure that the people are getting to the election. So, and that's not always happening because not everyone is paying the same amount of attention to it. So we have progressed this governance by additional sort of cycles of improvement. For example, last year we had a couple of executive whales who were sort of dictating where this governance is going. So, and the Web3 Foundation came up with an additional program called Decentralized Voices. And in the past, this was someone from the community who got given an amount of Polkadot tokens, just lended, and they could then vote with this. They were paid, or I think back then they weren't paid. It was just like an engagement for free, but they would take the time to review proposals and vote on them with proper due diligence. And the system, this worked fine. As I said, this was just one person or a few persons back then, but now this Decentralized Voices program was only given to other DAOs. So, we have many little sub-communities. For example, the French or the Hungarian DAO, an American DAO, but also globally, we have just a group of people who just enjoy to banter, and they also have sort of influence. They also sort of applied. So behind all of those DAOs are groups of people who also sort of are like a party, coming together, voting or discussing stuff, how they would vote. And it's all happening on-chain. And this is sort of the current culture, the current movement which we have, where more and more people are aligning, organizing, and becoming more and more vocal about what they think and also review the stuff. So this is happening in OpenGov, but to finish, we also have sub-bounties. Those are the ones which just take care of marketing or technical stuff, or who do governance stuff, or who just do ambassador building, for example. And those things are human in that regard. So they're also sometimes complex to organize, to set a basic level of agreement as well. And that's the beauty of this experiment, but also sometimes chaotic, of course, because you're bringing people together who have incentives to work because they get paid in DOT. So, and then also you have to find out, okay, how to track who's putting in the same thing. It's sometimes like at university where you have a study group and some people are doing a lot and others not at all, right? So like a little joke I like to say is the word team, right? In English it sounds like, if you abbreviate, it's together everyone achieves more. But in German you can also say like, oh great, someone else is doing the work. Toll, ein anderer macht's. So TEAM. So that's something which it's happening everywhere, right? So you always have those freeloaders, I think you call them. And in this regard, you also have to not just find incentives in terms of who is joining a DAO, but also making sure that they can also leave or are somehow as well reprimanded for behavior you don't want to have. And the same like a blockchain, right? You also have to make sure that you slash some people or some accounts because, well, they're not following the rules. And this is the experiment we are currently in. And my DAO, for example, it's lasting currently for half a year. I think in 2 or 3 months I have to go back to re-election more or less and show as well that I and my curator team have been doing great work, which I think we do, but we have to do lots of reporting, right? We are transparent. We sort of have to do lots of bureaucratic stuff to show on one side all the on-chain transactions, that all the funds were paid accordingly, that we did what we sort of promised to do. And sometimes that's a bit difficult because, especially in marketing, you don't really see directly the impact of your work. And they can be tiresome sometimes.
Yeah, I get it. But like, I think you got great partner right now, for your DAO called How to DAO. I might be biased though, but that's super cool. Like that, like Polkadot is really decentralizing, the efforts. And like, as you said, there are like so many different pockets, which are like people coming together and voting on different stuff, or like are in charge of different things. And there was an article which Kevin Awoke published on How to DAO. It's like DAO of DAOs, and basically it's like about this network effect, like that, like there is the future where the DAOs are actually like a network, which like it's kind of replacing the like conglomerate structure or like this like big institutions. Now we have like more like the teams which are like self-sufficient, and they are contributing to some bigger goal. So they are contributing to the Polkadot ecosystem. However, they are all kind of having their own individual project which they run and they own and they get benefit from, which I'm big supporter of. Also, if my understanding is correct, and I know you actually asked me, and I'm sorry that I couldn't bring you anyone who can talk about Ethereum on your live stream about parachains, but maybe there is someone listening to this podcast. So if there is someone who is into Ethereum and the scaling of Ethereum, layer 2s and stuff, and would love to join Polkadot livestream, please DM me or Erik and we can get you in. And on that note, let's maybe talk a little bit about how the Polkadot as an ecosystem works, because it kind of feels like the network, like like the parachains basically to the Polkadot. It's kind of like DAO to DAO kind of a relationship. But like, can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what's the difference between like, I have a DAO and then sub DAO, or DAO to DAO, and now I have like the main chain and the parachains to it. Like, is there like just a technical difference, but like in governance sense is the same? Or if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so Polkadot is a layer 0, like we used to say. So we just offer the shared security for all those roll-ups, we could sort of say. So this is, we are very good in coming up with our own terms. So parachain is actually a roll-up, but they are native. So it's Polkadot is built in that way that those roll-ups are part of us. So and those are our layer 1, so to say. And with the shared security, we make sure that we can sort of do all this great work where we sort of have almost 500,000 transactions per second in real test environments. Not in test environment, but in production environment. And this is also how it works greatly for other DAOs or sort of parachains to sort of plug in. We recently had the Mythical chain, which is like a gaming company, a game studio called Mythical. The founders are behind Call of Duty and Guitar Hero, for example, and doing now NFL and soon FIFA games as well on Polkadot chain. And yeah, they also, of course, are somewhat like a DAO, but well, in that sense, more like corporate owned, not as decentralized as my work, for example, is. But to try to sort of answer your question, or maybe you have to rephrase it for me a little bit because it's already so late here in Germany. Yeah, please, could you re-ask this again in terms of...
Yes. So what's the well, now I maybe can also start with like a description and then you can correct me. So, because it's early here in California. So basically you have the layer 0 and then you have the rollups to it. So like, the layer 0 is providing the shared security to the parachains, and what the parachains needs to kind of provide back to layer 0. It's kind of one question I have, but like also what I asked originally was like, you have a DAO. Let's say now MakerDAO works in the sub-DAO structure. So we have the main DAO, which is called Sky at this moment, and then you have the stars, which are under it. They're kind of independent, but they have some agreement with the main DAO. And it's more about like governance. They might share some like value, if the sub DAO receives some value, they channel it back to the main DAO because they are basically paying for the platform for like using that. So like, what's the difference between like the chain governance, like layer 1, layer 0 versus like DAO sub DAO?
Yeah, so on chain, It works like this. You have to imagine like a port where you have lots of docks where you can sort of wait for a ship or a boat to sort of get its little slot allocated. And currently it works like this, that if one of those projects, like Mythos, for example, wants to dock at our chain, they have to go through an auction process where they are renting the space, where they sort of can use the shared security for a certain time. And currently it's a bit expensive, right? Of course, I mean, if you want to sort of land your ship there and get part of this great technology, you have to sort of raise capital to get this seat. This model is changing pretty soon, where we're having Polkadot 3.0. Currently, we're at Polkadot 2.0, even though this is not an official term, where we are moving away from this principle. But this is where they sort of have to, get to an auction and give the main chain sort of some DOT or some other capital and pay for this. This is currently how it works. And on the open governance or DAO section, it works like this. I mean, we have on-chain and off-chain DAOs, right? I can have a Discord and a Telegram group and call this a DAO, but of course it's off-chain. So therefore I have a couple of opportunities to sort of really build those DAOs. For example, let's say we three start our own little DAO. How does it work? Well, we would, of course, first of all, build some social capital with the other community. Directly go there and say, hey, I want to have 1 million and I want to spend this over the next year or so on certain things. I mean, but get to know there, get the people to know and build capital and show that you are a trustworthy actor, right? That's always something you sort of want to do. Even though we are in a transparent sort of tech industry, it's still all very human. So it builds on trust. Even though we sort of have the motto, trust, truth, not trust. And to continue, if you have your awesome idea, for example, let's have the San Francisco DAO to build up Polkadot over there, then you would sort of start to write your proposal with the mission statement, with maybe some information about yourself to sort of show that you are someone who is worth it to be trusted with those funds. And you would go on OpenGov, and over there you could do like a forum post, but a bit more sophisticated than this, where you also sort of have your on-chain identity, which you prove with some DOT, which you then sort of, and then you go on OpenGov, where you sort of start to post, hey, I want to ask for 1 million DOT, for example, for the next 2 years. But also to make this happen, you also have to pay, of course, a little bit of or stake or leave some deposit there with DOT as well, too, because unless we would sort of get spammed all the time. And there are different levels in terms of if you're asking for a tip, let's say 100 DOT or so. It's not that sort of high, the amount you sort of have to deposit, but it gets higher and higher. If you're asking for 3 million, it's pretty expensive. If you have like a wish for change, which is like the highest sort of thing, where you sort of also ask for off-chain stuff, then you have to deposit, at 20,000 DOT, which is quite a lot at the moment. Well, not that much at the moment, at $4. And this is how you get started, more or less. You have your idea, you have the social capital, you have also some DOT brought with you as well. This is where it's not as free, but every chain, right, needs its own sort of skin in the game, which you have to prove that you are not here for free money, but also for value to bring. And if this idea works, if you convince either the community on OpenGov or also go to the Web3 Foundation, which would be like off-chain DAO, this is how you could get started with the whole DAO endeavor. And the future of our ecosystem is more and more will be decentralized. Right now, we have the Web3 Foundation, which is leaving lots of free decision room to people in our ecosystem who can take funds to fund their passion, to build their Web3 business through this DAO-controlled treasury, and share this individual and collective co-ownership of moving this DAO forward without central authority. So the foundation is taking a step back here. Also, the developer studio behind Polkadot Parity is also taking a step back. They are also just one actor in this whole ecosystem, and no one is really guiding, directing the whole thing. There are many leaders, and this is the great thing. So even though I am active only since half a year in the ecosystem, I think I'm one of those fishes who are part of the swarm, who are sometimes sort of guiding a little bit this school of fish into a direction. Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like Polkadot, it's like really decentralized and really like pushing like the like on the technical level, like the layer 0 and the parachains or the rollups, it kind of feels like, very much a decentralized approach. And then, as you said, like the DAOs and like creating more DAOs actually, which is coming up. And what I would say to it, like, if you feel like you want to build something new, you have an idea, you don't know how yet and how it would work in the DAO system, go to nsconnect.xyz, because that's where you can sign up for our course. And Polkadot is involved, so we will definitely learn more about how you can submit some proposal on Polkadot with your idea, stake some dot, and hopefully get approved at least for the lowest level, which is tip, but maybe even higher if your idea is really good. So we want our vision for how to DAO as a movement. It's like bring people from the outside and help them like understand how it works within and how that technology can actually help them to execute their vision, what they already have. So like crypto as a kind of accelerator for them, not something you use as a buzzword or use because like that's the only way. Well, maybe you use that's the only way, but like really help you as a tool to execute on your project, leave the job you hate and start the project you love. That's basically what we are all about. I know we are coming up time. We have like last 5-10 minutes. Gideon, I was wondering, do you have any question to Erik, or maybe you were wondering like something about Polkadot you just never asked?
Yeah, there's a lot of things I wonder about, but thank you for this overview. I think it's a great illustration of both the complexity and the power of Polkadot as a network and ecosystem. I'm curious, right? Because one of the concepts we use in the course is this thing called network density, right? So it kind of means that as people find each other, they build these, hopefully, connections that are around let's say a minimum of trust at least, right? So as soon as we connect and we feel comfortable enough to reach out to each other, we have now increased the network density if we're part of that same network or building on that same network, right? So, and it's interesting because you can see this in a very mathematical sense, actually do analysis and see network density grow, and with that see the power of a network grow. So I'm curious in the Polkadot ecosystem, how you see that network density, what are the chances and what are the forums or the places where people meet and kind of create these new connections, and is the ecosystem geared towards that? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, I think we have a very tight-knit core of the whole community. I would say, we have around, I think it was 4,000 full-time developers, or sort of people who are definitely committing to Polkadot in general, with lots of sort of grant programs to build all those little puzzle pieces to make Polkadot happen and bring it forward. On the open governance side, I always see the same usual suspects who are submitting stuff, voting on things. So I would say the people who are daily active, around 1,000, and also we have some tourists coming in, coming out, and so on, who's staying for some time. But those 1,000, maybe 2,000 ish, those are the real citizens who make Polkadot run. And I see them at the conferences, in the groups, and the live streams, and so on. And the places where we meet, well, of course, all those social channels. Not that much on Farcaster, but definitely all the other ones. And we have forums, we have, of course, all our little Discords and all those little hidden groups to discuss stuff, but definitely the Polkadot forum, and which is like just the discussion part, and also the open governance, which you can access through 2 different clients, Polk Assembly and Subsquare. So it's subsquare.polkadot.com, I believe, to see what's happening there in the forum. And of course, we have all those little, well, not little, but all those organizations as well, those where you can sort of have a real job and be there active. And I think with the network density question, this is definitely something where I think Polkadot is so old, right? 2016 was the first paper written. I was at the first Web3 summit in Berlin, 2018. So, and it definitely inspired lots of people to sort of delve into it, and it definitely was mostly interesting for developers and those who had who got the vision of it and who saw the problems other layers had. Historic, I would say maybe sort of between 2019 or 20-ish, definitely the last market cycle. Some people got sort of lost the patience of sort of sticking with tech, which takes years to sort of drill through those very thick and difficult problems to sort of make tech happen, right? But that's the thing. Vaporware can be done very quickly, but if you sort of want to solve things, you have to be patient with this. And I think some people were not that patient. So therefore, we are right now winning hard spec, people who sort of got maybe frustrated in those times where we also were experimenting with OpenGov, with leadership in general, where certain companies were taking leadership, but also sort of realized, hey, we don't want to take this corporate approach. I mean, Puncar, you said, right, you work in this corporation, and it's sometimes good to have one leader, but some people are a bit more anachronistic and were rather pushing this decentralized way. And I think people are, well, in this experiment and finding out, hey, do I want to live in this or work in this, or rather sort of be comfortable with this uncertainty? I'm definitely more like an uncertainty guy if I manage to survive that long here in this crypto industry. And back to your question, Gideon, right now we are branching out. For example, with the marketing boundary, we found a couple of ways to reinvigorate the spirit into Polkadot by, if you go to, I think, what's the domain again? Yaps, like yaps.kaito, kaito.ai/Polkadot, you get to a leaderboard. I don't think I can share my screen right now. There's also like a Yapper social graph where you can see sort of how this social graph is interconnected. And what I love about this is you see sort of the core of the top 100 people. And this is definitely the part where I want to grow, right? I don't want to see even though I like those guys and girls, I definitely want to see some new faces. And that's also why I sort of wanted to make this partnership happen, to bring different DAOs together and have this exchange. And yeah, I really want to reach out to expand this whole network and invite people to test stuff out, to vote, to review what's happening, what kind of proposals out there, what kind of bullshit proposals out there as well. A few months ago we had a proposal about like an OnlyFans on Polkadot, and similar stuff, and weirder stuff, and funnier stuff. Casinos also try to sort of step into Polkadot. And the great thing is, by having this sort of social layer, gatekeeping, you also make sure that you don't get every scammer into this network. Of course, even though they can build wherever they want to. Sometimes we also have people and projects which take the tech, the Polkadot SDK, and who realize, wow, that's great stuff, and then they just do their own thing on the side. Oh yeah, that's it. There are projects which are taking SDK but don't really sort of engage that much with our network. Yeah, if you scroll down there's the social graph, right? So exactly, Gideon, there you see your answer. You see Gavin Wood in the middle, right? To which everyone else is connected. And yeah, I would like to invite everyone as well to sort of take a look, follow those people, connect with them, discuss with them, learn from them, learn about their DAO they're in, and make this DAO bigger.
That sounds like a closing comment. No, and I think there is only one thing we haven't mentioned yet, because also Polkadot, it's thinking of people who might not be able to afford this course, but they can benefit greatly from it. So the price of the course, the standard price, it's $349. However, the portion of the money is going straight to the DAO. So the DAO you will be creating at the course actually gets initial funding from you. And you can, after the course, actually withdraw the funds or invest as a DAO into something. So you really, by getting into the course, you are buying into the ecosystem, and you are creating real DAO with real funds, which we think it's important to really have the practical experience. But if you cannot afford it, different reasons, you should post your story as a comment to this live stream, because Polkadot is giving 10 stipends. So 10 free seats for people which would benefit the most the course, but cannot pay for it themselves. So thank you to Polkadot, because it's always great to have an option for everyone, because DAOs are for everyone, and this is really enabling people to join the movement. So thank you again for that. And lastly, if you are interested also in the How to DAO book, go to howtodao.xyz. You can read the book before the course. Thank you, Erik. Great promotion. It's really like what we discuss here. Wow, almost finished. And and it's a great start. You still have 3 weeks to the start of the course, so you can get the book first, then the course, get practical examples, and then you are in Web3, you are starting your own project, and you just having better life. So thanks again to Erik for joining us, Polkadot being our flagship partner, Gideon, the partner for the course, and your tutor, so you will see him a lot if you are joining the course, and you will see also me there. So thank you very much for the listening, and we will see you soon. Bye.